All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Welcome back to He's on Fire podcast. It is a special Forks Up edition on a Tuesday here with our special guest, Jamal Miles. Jamal, how we doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Bless.
Awesome. You are the special teams guru of Arizona State. Haven't seen anybody like you before. Haven't seen anybody like you since. Before we get to your career a little bit, I want to talk about what made you so damn dynamic returning punt returns, kick returns, and just overall in special teams.
What made me so dynamic? I can't really say. I mean, I guess my teammates, really. I got to give credit to them, always just being out there and, giving me an opportunity to make plays.
Yeah. And there it is, Sun Devil fans. It's as simple as that. You got 11 dudes on your team. Everybody needs to do their job. But I think you're, 4.3, 4.4 speed? I'm sure that helped a little bit, right?
Yeah, a little bit. It helped a little bit.
I love it. Born and raised in Arizona, correct? Peoria?
Right. Yep.
Tell me a little bit about your home life, growing up there and all the way leading up into high school. What was it like growing up for you?
Growing up, it was... it's pretty normal life, just going to school, playing sports, hanging out with friends and stuff like that, normal stuff, You grew up playing sports. I got into football when I was probably like around 10. I started playing and then just kind of took off from there. Once I got to high school, my game started to expand, started to get a little bit more exposure. And then from then on, just kept on progressing.
At what point before high school did you know that you were a little bit different from these other dudes that you were playing with?
Just because the team I played on, like, we had a bunch of talent on the team that I grew up playing on. So, like, we were just above and beyond all the other teams that we played against. So, I already knew that we were on a different level. So, going into high school, it was just that much easier just to transition.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you go to Peoria, you run some track, you play football on varsity your sophomore, junior, senior year. Tell me about your decision to do track as well. Was that something that you want to do, the coaches put on you, or what was the decision with that?
No, that's something that I wanted to do. I grew up running track, so it was just something that just kept me, tuned and kept my speed up. That's part of the reason why I actually went to Peoria, because my track coach was the track coach there. So he got me to go to Peoria in all reality. So that's how I ended up there.
And who was like your biggest influence, like athletically early on?
Like personally, or just like?
Yeah, personally. Who like urged you to get into it, or who gave you that lead to look at?
I say my dad, because my dad grew. He played in like the grown man leagues growing up, the Copper League that they have out here. So he played it now. I watched him growing up. My uncles was in high school and college playing, so I just always had people around me doing the sport. So I just grew the love for that.
So growing up in Phoenix around that time, I'm from the Phoenix area as well too. Were you following the Cardinals at all back in the day, the Suns, any local sports teams, or were you just focused on your own career and what you were doing?
I mean, the Suns is my favorite basketball team. I'm not a Cardinals fan.
I'm not a Cardinals fan, he says.
Nah.
I definitely still watched them growing up, because it was the home team, so I kept tapping them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you were right in the area with Nash and Amari and everything popping off on that time. So it was definitely an exciting time to be in Phoenix. So then during your sophomore season, you had at Peoria, you had 1,100 yards, 16 touchdowns. Junior season, you had over 1,600, 38 touchdowns. And your senior year, you had over 2,100 yards and 29 touchdowns. First team all conference 4A. talk to me about your progression every single year, because everything just went up. Your touchdowns went down like a smidge senior year, but what were you doing personally to keep that grind up and just get better and better?
Yeah, personally, I just kept the same routine. Every day I'm always working hard at practice and doing everything I got to do. So it wasn't a matter of that. It was just the opportunities that I was getting. So my sophomore year, I was third string running back behind two other guys that was upperclassmen. So that's
You were third string and you got 1,100 yards?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that Peoria team had a lot of running backs coming through there.
Yeah, so
there was a lot of talent.
It was just, like I said, the opportunities. I had two upperclassmen in front of me my sophomore year, and then my junior year, I still had one of the upperclassmen ahead of me. So I was like second string, but still kind of first string. And then my senior year was when I was able to take over. So that's why you see more production during that year.
Talk to me about your touchdown production from your junior to your senior year. I looked up all the stats and everything. I said it looked like 38 touchdowns and then 29 touchdowns. I mean, not to say that going to 29 touchdowns is a drop, but going from 16 your sophomore to 38, granted, you have one less dude you're playing behind.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get all those touchdowns? Was it just all the combination of all your speed that you had and catching passes out of the backfield plus all your return touchdowns? How did you get to that level so quickly?
I mean, I didn't catch many passes in high school, so it wasn't that, but it was, I would say the speed had a lot to do with it. And then just my will to want to score every time I touched the ball. Every time I touched the ball, I knew I had to make a big play because I knew that if I didn't score right then, that if I got down there, I was going to get taken out the game and somebody else was going to score because that's how they used to do it. Like, our other back was like our power back, so they put him in on the goal line. So I was like, if I get the ball, I got to score. So that was my goal every time I touched it.
And that helped with your mentality there. Absolutely. Jay Nes, you went to Peoria. Tell me about just watching him play on the sidelines and his career just from a fan's perspective too.
I mean, that little last line kind of summed it up. His mentality, every time he touched the ball, he had a score. And that's how we did it down there. And that's how that team was. So they were very dynamic, and then to see him go into and transition into ASU and bring that same dynamic attitude to the field at ASU, it just was like, he's meant for this. This is what it is.
And he was that dude from the beginning. So tell me about your recruiting process. At what point in high school did that start for you? And who were some of the teams that were coming after you at the time?
I'll say it started at the beginning of junior year. First team that offered me was U of A. They had a big interest in my coach. Coach Clapp was trying to get me to go there, is convincing me to try to go to U of A. Always reminding me who came first, but my cousin TJ had just went to ASU, committed. So my main focus was trying to get a scholarship to ASU and go there. So I wasn't really worried about any other schools. I was just waiting for my ASU offer. And plus, I just wanted to stay home because my mom just had two little girls, and I just wanted to, help be around them and help raise them. So that was my whole reason for just staying back home and, wanting to try to be the hometown hero.
Yeah, absolutely. You love the hometown hero. That was big when Todd Graham was here, and it continues to be a huge thing with Arizona State fans about not recruiting in-state guys. So having one of our own stay home, we love them forever. So you came out of high school and you were a 4-star prospect. At what point did you learn that you were a 4-star prospect? You got that fourth star, or were you trying to get that 5th star and you were maybe a little disappointed by it?
I was always reaching for that 5th star, but I can't lie. I was a little disappointed that I didn't get the recognition that I thought I deserved. But at the end of the day, I was still at a D1 university, and that's all I wanted.
2,100 yards, 29 touchdowns. I don't know how much you really got to do to get that 5th star. I know coming out of Arizona at that time was a lot different than it is now, right?
Yeah,
With dudes exposure's different. It's way different, night and day. I never saw teams 5A or even 4A on ESPN from Arizona. And now you're seeing that almost regularly. So you probably would have gotten that 5-star back in the
Guys
day.
like
But
guys like yourself help do that though. That's this is
yeah,
the guys that get to reap the benefits now is because of people like you that ran in those trenches and made that grab that exposure and say, yo, you got to give it to me regardless of you shining the light on Arizona itself. I'm here.
Right, right. I'm just happy that Arizona's finally starting to get that exposure because it's something that we've been missing for a while. None of the big universities used to recruit out here. I was just like the West Coast universities now down south and back east. They're all starting to recruit. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Oklahoma's got a footprint here for sure.
And being an Arizona guy myself, we appreciate you staying home and going to ASU because that's another thing we deal with. I mean, you look at a guy like Spencer Rattler, you look at these,
Byron
others
Murphy.
names, Byron Murphy, you look at these other names, Christian, that they bounced out, and ASU is not, we have to be able to recruit here. If we
Right.
can't recruit here, and get the tip top and the best out of here, we're not going to be able to grow as a college.
Right. And a lot of universities, a lot of the players coming out now is top from here. Like,
Yeah.
Like, what's his name? Benjamin. So,
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, we
definitely
got to,
in recruits.
yeah, they really got to, in ASU, it got to be on them too. They got to go harder out here.
Mm-hmm.
I got my own thoughts about that current staff, and I want to get into that a little bit here. So, overall, you finish your career, and I double checked this because I wanted your reaction. You can finish your career with 4,969 yards, not quite 5,000. Does that get at you a little bit? Or are you just chilling and saying, "Nah, I got almost 5,083 touchdowns. I'm good."
You went mute.
You went mute real quick.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, yeah. I was yeah, to be honest, I don't really say it again. I got lost.
No, you're good. I went on 2 different sites to double check the math, and it's both of them said you finished with 4,969 yards. Does that number eat at you where you wanted that 5,000, or does the 460, whatever it was, 4,983 touchdowns? Are you good with that and you're chilling?
I mean, I'm good with that. I mean, it's it's history. It's done. That's not really something I paid attention to, so I didn't even know that I had that number. So like, just to hear it sounds good. It's nice to know that I had
it. That's a hell of a stat. There's not many people in the world that could get that stat, and that's damn well something to be proud of. So on December 14th, 2008, you commit to Dennis Erickson and Arizona State. It sounded like it really didn't matter who the coach was at the time. You were just waiting for that ASU offer to come in. Is that right? Am I on point there?
Halfway. I mean, the coaching had a little bit to do with it too. Like, I just love Coach Erickson's personality. He was laid back and he was a player's coach, so I kind of vibe with him just off that aspect. And then the rest of the staff were, they felt like family when I was there. They treated me, with open arms and everything. It was different from when I went on my U of A recruit. I mean, they were nice too. They tell me all the good stuff, but it just was a different vibe, and the energy that they just let off was just different. So I just felt comfortable when I was at Arizona State with Erickson to make me want to commit at that point.
Man, and we were so lucky to have you. And everybody listening in, thank you for coming in and supporting. Share out this podcast and like it as well, too, and subscribe. We're here with Arizona State legend, Peoria's own Jamal Miles, and we're just kind of going through the years with him. So we're going into now freshman year, Arizona State.
Man.
2007, ASU comes off of a great run with Erickson. I remember going to every single home game to start that year. 8-0, ended up going to a bowl game, losing that bowl game. Next year, all the hype in the world, Georgia coming in town. This was your senior year now at Peoria, and get blown out by Georgia, end up 5-7. 2009, I remember y'all almost beat Georgia in Athens. I remember that game. I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I was mad at myself for not going up there. Started off 4-2, but then you lost 6 straight to end the season 4-8. And I remember that Washington game too. The Danny Sullivan pass ended on the last second play. You had Danny Sullivan at QB, Demetri Nance, Cam Marshall in the backfield, but you shared a receiving room with Kyle Williams, TJ Simpson, Chris McGahey, Jarrell Robinson, Kerry Taylor. It was a hell of a list of wide receivers for your freshman year. Can you talk about that wide receiver room and what you learned from them?
Yeah, our wide receiver room was deep, and we just had a bunch of great guys in there, especially the upperclassmen like Chris McGahey and Kyle Williams. They were great leaders and showed us how to lead. So it was a pleasure having them up there to show me how to take care of business and stuff like that. So
what were some of the guys doing your freshman year? Were they picking on you at all, or were they showing you a roast? Was there any hazing, or was everybody just like, nah, man, this is how we do things?
It wasn't too much hazing because the little hazing rule had got pushed into effect around that, so there wasn't too much.
They're joshing you a little bit, right?
Right. We still had a little bit of we had to do the team fight song in front of everybody and stuff like that. So that was the most that really ever happened for me as far as being hazed or anything like that.
Do you still know the fight song? Can you still do it by heart?
Probably not. I know a little bit, but I don't
know. You lose it over a little bit. So your freshman year, you're going against a defense that had some dudes. Vontez Burfict was a freshman that year. Mike Nixon, he was there for a while. Lawrence Guy, who's still in the NFL. Brandon McGee, Dexter Davis, a young Will Sutton. What was the speed like going against these college players your first year? Were you a deer in the headlights, or were you like, no, I got this?
I kind of had it when I came in, in that defense. Honestly, I feel like made me better and had me prepared for what had to come. But just every day in practice, just going up against them, me being young and just seeing all the older guys coming at me. I was kind of like a deer in the headlights, but at the same time, that fear in me had me able to just go out there and do what I was able to do. So
yeah,
so it was pretty easy once I got out there and just had the football in my hand and just making plays.
Unfortunately, you ended your freshman year with only 13 rushing yards and 6 catches for 58 yards, but 611 return yards. Yeah, man, I remember watching him being like, "Why is he not touching the ball more?"
So I felt like it was almost every time he touched the ball in kickoff return, it was like, man, just that much more. It was a touchdown every single time.
Absolutely. I felt so comfortable knowing that we finally had a dude back there that can break it free at any time, because that was something that we were missing. Yeah, dude. It was so fun watching it. But were you frustrated you weren't getting involved in the offense more, or was that something you knew was going to happen going into the season?
No, I wasn't frustrated because I didn't even have intentions on playing that year. I was actually redshirting my whole freshman year, but then Kyle Williams started having hamstring problems, and they were looking for somebody to come off of their red shirt and play. But some of the other guys were like, they didn't want to come off they didn't want to use their red shirt and use it. But then they asked me, and I said, forget it. I want the opportunity, so I just went all in and took the opportunity because I wanted to get on the field.
Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't play until what, the 4th, 5th, 6th game of the year? It was like halfway through.
I want to say Washington was my first game.
What a hell of a first game for your college career. I remember watching that game in Atlanta. I was pissed off. I was like, I can't believe we're losing to this team. And then all of a sudden, touchdown at the end to win. And you ended up with 611 return yards. Was there
4 games?
Right? Was there something special about that year for you in particular, or were you just, balls to the wall going straight ahead forward?
I was just balls to the wall going straight forward, just excited for the opportunity and get out there and play the game and get that college experience under my belt. It was just a blessing. So that's all I was excited about.
Man, attaboy. Going into your sophomore year, 2010, almost beat Wisconsin that year. Almost beat it. I remember the Kyle Middlebrooks returning it almost at the end of the first half and not quite getting in. A couple other weird things happened. Stephen Threet comes in as your quarterback that year. Brock Osweiler finished it off because of injuries to him, and Threet had to retire that year. Cam Marshall was back. You had a Middlebrooks, as I said, DeAndre Lewis, who's in the story in itself. We love DeAndre. And you shared a receiver room with a lot of the same guys, except you added Flugard, George Bell, and y'all finished 6-6. Couldn't get a bowl bid because of 2 wins versus a Division II team. Tell me, elaborate on the dynamic of the team that year, going 6-6. Were y'all frustrated? There was a couple games you probably should have won. Talk to me about that whole year just as a team.
No, that year, it was definitely frustrating losing those close games, and then just being that team that was supposed to be upcoming and supposed to have a good season, just living up to the expectations was, wasn't as expected. But, I feel like we grew from that, and we were supposed to have a better season the next year, but that didn't really happen either. But that's a different story.
But that was the year of the double overtime in Arizona, though, right?
What, the Missouri game?
No, 2010. Was that the blocked field goal one in double overtime?
Yeah, the Arizona game. Yeah.
Oh, the Arizona. Yeah. That sophomore year. Yeah, that's when. Yeah, that was the big game, the Arizona game. That's one of my favorite games. Yeah. Going in that double overtime, getting those 2 blocks, and then everybody just storming the field. That was a good
that's some ASU stuff right there, man. It's always good to be Arizona. Yeah.
But to beat him in that fashion, man.
Yeah.
To beat him in that fashion where we had no business of finishing that off. I mean, it was like a 22-yard field goal or something that should be like automatic. It was almost an extra point. It was an extra point.
A gimme. Yeah.
So that game, thank you for bringing that up. What was that locker room like after the game and the bus ride home?
Everybody was turned up. It was exciting, Our big guy James Brook had the 2 blocks or whatever, so it was go time. Every time we play U of A, it's always like our bowl game. Even if we don't make it to the bowl game, that's the bowl game of the year. That's what we look forward to. I don't care if we don't have no wins on that whole year. That one win.
Everything's all right.
Yeah.
I want to speak to that because I completely agree. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't go to Arizona State. I went to Atlanta, where they had audio production and music production scene and things like that. So they just didn't have what I wanted. But I would have gone to Arizona State. I grew up down the road almost. Could see the fireworks going off when I grew up in the 90s and the Jake Plummer era, all that fun stuff. So, but when we play Arizona, and it was the same as last year, like we played 4 games, but we got to play Arizona. I was coaching high school basketball at the time. We just lost our 3rd game in a row in a tournament, and we ended up winning a state championship, but we lost our 3rd game in a row. I was all sorts of pissed off. I'm riding home. I turn the game on. I get on the freeway, and boom, DJ Taylor runs it for a touchdown just to start the game. So I was energized and passionate right from then. I forgot about it. So I understand exactly what you're saying when you talk about it, and you played in it. So who the hell am I saying this? Just playing them and winning is like a bowl game. You played them 4 times. Was that your favorite game when you played them in 2010?
Yeah, I'd say that was my favorite one.
Yeah, that would have to be.
I kind of like this. The one my senior year too was a pretty good game. It wasn't as exciting finish, but it was a good game.
Yeah, that sophomore one's kind of legendary. Not everybody even says they get to get an overtime game in their career, but a double against your rival too. Yeah,
2 blocks.
2 blocks, walk-off fashion.
Walk-off fashion. It was glorious. So 2011. Man, your junior year. Erickson's final year. You get new offensive coordinator, Noel Mazzoni. And this was supposed to be the season for ASU, right? New uniforms, Nike sponsoring, the new pitchfork logo, that's synonymous with ASU now, goes up and Sparky goes away, which is another conversation in its own. You start the season 6-2, excuse me. Should have beaten Illinois probably week 3 to go up 7-1. Probably should have beat Oregon that year too. You lose 4 straight, go 6-6 yet again. Sun Devil Nation's all pissed off. Everyone's got the pitchforks, no pun intended, for Erickson. But he gets fired before the bowl game, but coaches the bowl game. And we kind of get blown out a little bit on that. Talk to me about, not only the injuries to start off the season, DeAndre getting shot and Bolden going out as well too, one of your defensive leaders. Talk to me about that whole process going into the season and what that was like with injuries and whatnot.
That process was a little tough, losing our star players like Omar, DeAndre, and then my cousin TJ Simpson. He also tore his ACL that year, so he wasn't on the roster. So, just losing those big players, it kind of, put us in a little setback. But I feel like we still had a bunch of players on our team where we were able to, make that run. But it just came down to the little things during the games that hurt us, like the fourth downs, the penalties and extending drives. So, in that aspect, when you're making a lot of mistakes, you don't plan on winning a lot of football games.
Yeah. So do you attribute most of it to the penalties and injuries at that point then?
Yeah, I say more the penalties than the injuries, because we were always in a position to win the games. Like all those games that we lost, like we were always in position to win, or at least have an opportunity. Maybe not the working games, because I don't remember being that too close to working. but all the other games, I feel like we were in pretty good shape.
It was always like one or two penalties, pass interference or something.
Come down to
4th and 23 and a stupid penalty. Yeah.
Right. So I just think it was our maturity at the time rather than, our talent.
What was that locker room like going into the bowl game with Erickson, knowing it's his last game and everything like that?
It was kind of sad, but then at the same time, I feel like all the guys, they wanted to come together and, get that last win for Coach, set him out on a good note, but weren't able to do that. But, at the end of the day, just have fun with Coach, and we love the memories that we share with them.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about for coaching for me too, is those personal relationships, regardless of what happened on the court. Two of my favorite memories of that season was not only beating USC in the Vontez Burfict, pointing game. Everybody knows that with ASU, but that first blackout game against Mizzou. Do you remember that game?
Yeah.
What was that atmosphere like? Because I was hyped at like 11:30 p.m. on the East Coast.
Oh yeah, that energy was different because we just got the new uniforms. It was all black. We was excited. We was hyped for that. And then to come out and then the whole stadium just pitch black because everybody's blacked out. That was one of the best moments, personally, as being like in our stadium.
The atmosphere there was crazy.
Yeah.
That game, that was the game that was supposed to get us over the hump, and it kind of did. We hadn't beat a ranked team in I don't know 3, 4, 5 years. You guys beat them. I think they were ranked 23rd or 24th. You go in the locker room. I'm seeing videos, everybody coming out celebrating, and we go and lay an egg in the all-white unis now against Illinois week 3, losing 17-14. Talk to me first about coming off of that Missouri game, going into Illinois, and what that mindset was like, and then after that Illinois game.
Coming out the Missouri win, everybody on their high horse, and sometimes that could be good, sometimes it could be bad. For us, it just kind of went into the bad end because you get overly confident, and then you kind of underestimate the other teams, and I just feel like that's kind of what happened. We went in underestimating them a little bit, even though they were still a decent school. They had decent players, and we just came out and they just hit us in the mouth. We weren't able to get over that hump.
And we looked so clean that game too. In the first all white, we looked so clean. Yeah. I was so damn confident that game too.
I thought we were about to go in there and just take them out of. I didn't think they were going to compete with us.
Right.
Nah, and it happened. It is what it is. And then Dennis Erickson gets fired. We already went through that. But all of the injuries. This was supposed to be the year. Noel Mazzoni and people talk about his swing offense, and the swing passes and all that. And all this went down while you personally, Jamal Miles, had his best statistical season at Arizona State, amassing 206 yards, rushing 361 yards, receiving on 60 receptions, and over 1,000 return yards with 10 total touchdowns. And I believe you were named all second all-team Pac-12 that year as well too, as a return specialist. So what was it about that year for you that made you break out that year? Was it just time for the big dog to eat, or was it something schematically that Noel Mazzoni was doing?
Yeah, just like that, it was an opportunity. You see, my junior year as I came in, they implemented me in the offense a little bit more because my sophomore year, they were still trying to just sprinkle me in here and there. and trying to get me in the offense. And then my junior year, I kind of got a bigger role, so that helped. And then they also kind of let me take over, return duties. As far as like my sophomore year, I wasn't really taking over the duties. I was, get in one game or two games, and then everybody else was returning as well because we had so many dynamic players. So everybody had to touch the ball. So just my year just got more opportunity. And then, just the schemes that the coach put together for me on the return, setting up my coach Christian, was my position coach for special teams. And he just set up a bunch of good schemes for me, to succeed.
And you sure did. Do you remember your passing touchdown?
Which one? Oh, you talking about the one to Pfluger?
Yeah. He said which one?
No, I thought you meant like receiving touchdown. I was like, which one? But yeah.
No, you averaged what 16 per punt that year in the junior year.
Yeah,
he was killing them that year. Really was.
He was that dude, and then you had Kyle Middlebrooks as well too. So if you were kicking to this team, you were out of your mind. You really were.
It was a dangerous backfield, man. Back there,
it was Devin Hester 2.0 back there.
Definitely.
Todd Graham comes in 2012. The new sheriff is in town. Yeah, what was that all? Mike Norvell, he comes in with no earrings, no hats turned around, all that stuff. What was it like having a new coach? Did you think about transferring at all, or were you all in on Arizona State and you wanted to stay home?
Yeah, I was almost at the verge of transferring, because, it was kind of different, him coming in and trying to change everything and, trying to have like that Army mentality. It was just different from going from being with a coach who was a player coach to going to somebody who's my way or a highway type coach, So my first thought was, transferring, possibly going over to Houston where Coach Christian went. But then at the end of the day, I'm a loyal person, so I was like, I already spent my 3 years here. I might as well finish it out, do my 4 years, and get up out of here. So, I stayed loyal and finished out my career at ASU because I don't want to be known as that guy who's always just jumping around different teams. Once I start somewhere, I got to finish.
BV50 in the chat real quick, and then we'll get to Jay Nes. Did the Cardinals ever contact you coming out of college?
Yeah, they did. They actually contacted me during the draft. They had it was probably like 6th round going on. They hit me up and was like, we're thinking about drafting you 7th round, but then they ended up drafting the tight end. So, it didn't work out. Then I ended up getting picked up by Jacksonville.
Yeah. And I definitely want to get into that. I got more questions about your 2012, but Jay Nes, please take the floor.
No, I was just going to ask, was that the kind of the overall mood in that locker room during that transition to Todd Graham?
As far as what?
As far as just, kind of everyone feeling like, him coming in, changing the whole dynamics of everything, kind of like you said, the more militant mentality coming from a laid back coach with Erickson. Was that kind of the feeling in the locker room where everybody was kind of divided like that?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it definitely disrupted the locker room a little bit. And because at the end of the day, he was doing things that wasn't the likelihood of the upperclassmen. So like he would take some of the upperclassmen's numbers that they've had and give them to the freshmen that he promised them. So like stuff like that was just rubbed us the wrong way. And it just, the team wasn't all the way in, wasn't all bought in with him from, that first year because he was coming in making drastic changes, and just the way that he, approached the game. But, at the end of the day, we had to abide by his rules, listen to him and do what he said. So, we tried to make the best out of the situation.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Talk to me about Mike Norvell. He seemed like early on almost an offensive guru and genius. You saw him at Memphis and now at Florida State. Talk to me about him. What did you think about his scheme and coming off of the Noel Mazzoni scheme?
You know what? I thought their schemes were pretty similar. They pretty much had like a similar offense, but it definitely opened up the playbook when we got with Norvell. You know, he was a good offensive coordinator, and I liked a lot of the things that he had going on with this. And you know, I just wish that we had a opportunity to expand more on that playbook when we were playing.
That's a lot of Arizona State fan sentiment as well too. So this actually ended up being your most successful season at ASU. You know, regardless of what Todd Graham did to some of y'all, you ended up 7-5, beat the brakes off of Navy in the bowl game. Taylor Kelly that was his first year, and it was either him or Michael Eubanks or Berkovici, that all back and forth thing. Marion Grice and DJ Foster, Cam Marshall in the backfield. Chris Coyle emerged as the tight end. You got to play with Rashad Ross on that wide receiver group. Talk to me about the wide receiver group and the offense as a whole, and the dudes that you had, since this was really almost a completely different offensive team, top to bottom, aside from like you, Rashad Ross, and Cam Marshall.
Yeah. Well, you know, the main guys that was in that offense, you know, we were pretty close because, you know, we've been there for like the past 2-3 years together. So, you know, we already had like a little bond that we already had. But as far as, you know, like the freshmen coming in and them getting their roles, you know, that played a little different role. But, you know, us being upperclassmen, you know, we still took them under our wings and, you know, showed them the ropes and, you know, got them right. 'Cause at the end of the day, we all teammates, and you, in order for us to succeed, you have to succeed.
But your receiving yardage, rushing yardage, kick return, like everything just kind of went down for you that year. So yes, it was ASU's most successful season while you were on the team and you won the bowl game. I mean, were you happy about the team's success, finally getting a bowl game? Or were you just kind of like, come on, man, I'm a senior, I've done ABC, give me the ball?
You know, I was excited with our success, but at the same time, I wasn't really happy with, you know, my success at the time, because I wasn't getting in the end zone and I wasn't getting enough opportunities. And then, you know, if I did make a couple mistakes, it was like the end of the world. You know, coaches getting mad and taking me out the game, and I'm just like what's going on? So, you know, that had a lot to do with it. And as far as like returns, like I remember the Colorado game, I think I muffed the punt return or something like that, and then I got taken off for the rest of the season. So it was just like,
that's wild.
I was just like, wow. It was just crazy. But then we finally tried the opportunity later on, but it's too late by then.
So that kind of wraps up your Arizona State career, but is there one play that you made that really sticks out to you? Because you had a lot of returns for some touches, man. You had a lot, but is there one that sticks out to you? It doesn't even have to be a touchdown.
I would say my favorite play would probably be the Oregon State one, my punt return, where I split the two guys and then just tick off.
Man, I wish we could play that one for the people.
I think that was my favorite return.
I was waiting for this one. I've got YouTube pulled up and I got it coming. So when it's ready to go, I'll put it on here. Any regrets that you had about ASU? Something that you wish you could have done different, changed? Do you have any regrets there?
No, I don't have any regrets. You know, I think everything happened for a reason, and I'm pretty satisfied with the outcome.
Good. What besides that double overtime game, what was your favorite game?
What's that? The U of A game you're talking about?
I said outside of that game, what was your favorite game?
I would have to say that the Missouri game is probably one of the most exciting games.
That atmosphere was crazy.
Like that. Yeah, the energy in that stadium was crazy.
I think the only other game to not match that energy, I mean, to surpass it, would have to probably be that Notre Dame game in, was it 2013 or 14, whenever that was. Other than that, I personally can't remember watching a game that had the hype that did. And for everybody that's going to be watching, I'm very sorry for those that are going to be listening after the fact. I'm going to share my screen here real quick. I got that on here. I want to show everybody. I'm going to put it full screen so everybody can see. But this is what he's talking about. Splitting two defenders right from the get-go. Gets the ball. Splits defenders right away. Makes one cut and just pure speed.
We used to see that a lot, man. They couldn't catch one. Once you get that second step on him, it's gone. They ain't
one
catching
cut right there. And it's over. The punter tried. He tried.
That was so he didn't get chewed out in the tape room later.
Got that little dive, huh? That little extra effort.
So
Oh man.
we touched on it briefly. Draft night for you. Unfortunately, you went undrafted. You said you got contacted by the Cards. Did any other teams hit you up? Did you hear from anybody else? What was that like?
No, like immediately after the draft was over, my agent, or not my agent, but Jacksonville called me on the phone and was like, "You ready to sign the contract?" And I was just like, me being a kid, I was excited for the opportunity. I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." Like, I don't care where I'm going. Let's go. I didn't really get calls or any other options of what teams I want to play with. My agent didn't call me and give me no options. It was just the first thing that came, and I just went with it.
So tell me about and elaborate on your experience. Tell me about your experience just getting there, opening up as a Daisy Fresh rookie, and then ultimately leaving Jacksonville.
Getting there, it's exciting being in the, finally making it to where you dreamed of being in your whole life. And then, being around the players that you watched growing up, like Maurice Jones, Drew, and them like that, the locker room was crazy just being around them. But, my experience there, it wasn't the best because, at the time, like, I'm still, like, transitioning to being a receiver because I come from being a running back, and now I'm just an outside receiver now. And, like, that transition was a little bit difficult for me because I'm not used to getting off of press coverage and doing stuff like that. And I'm going up against people who have been doing this stuff, for years, and they just vets to the game. So, I might get jammed up or something by a vet and, having a hard time or running the routes wrong. And, my position coach at the time, he wasn't too patient with me. I didn't get a lot of, personal time with him. So I feel like that kind of hurt me. And, like, it was only me and one other free agent. And I feel like with the other free agent, he kind of spent a little bit more time with him because he kind of knew his agent. They would kind of talk and chat a little bit. But, it was what it was. Just the experience. I learned so much from being there just that little bit of time. I'm just grateful for that opportunity, for real.
Yeah. Jay, do you have any follow-up questions to that?
What was just like that for the guys that in your position coming from college or trying to make that transition in the NFL? What was the training camp like? What was that first couple weeks like going in there? Was it different from what you were used to in college?
It wasn't too different. If anything, I'd say it was a little bit more laid back. You get to be be yourself a little bit more out there rather than when you in college and, it's just, come in, get the work done, and do all that. It was definitely, I feel like, a better experience than, coming from college.
Definitely.
So your time with Jacksonville ends almost as it started. Did you get any other calls after that? Were you looking to go anywhere else? What was that whole time before you went to the Canadian Football League like?
So after I got released from there, it only was out probably like a week or two. And then I got the call from the CFL from Edmonton, and they told me that they wanted me to come down there because my position coach at ASU that year was good friends with the GM. And that's kind of how I got my opportunity. So he brought me over, and then I got my opportunity over there that way.
BV50's got another question. This is actually a really good one. So did the Jags not try you out as a returner?
Yeah, I was returning there. I had a couple returns. I did pretty good at kick return. And then there was one time where they put me in on punt return, and I muffed that punt. Ball hit me in the face. The wind blew a little hard at the end and hit me in the face off the punt. So
that was it.
Yeah, that would probably be a deal breaker right there.
Man, that's just, I don't know. I've never coached at the professional level, or I'm not even going to act like I know, but that just seems unsigned rookie coming in. You do it one time. Come on, man. Like, everybody deserves a second chance. That seems petty. Did that feel petty to you? Did that feel like that hurt? Like you knew what you could do and you weren't given that opportunity? It
hurt, but I feel like it was on me because the play before, like, it was like a drive before that. One of my teammates had just fumbled the punt, and he, that's why he put me in. He's like, go in there. make a smart decision. If it goes past 10, don't back up. And then I get in the game, and then I see it going, and it goes past 10 yards, but it's like barely past. So I try to take a step back, and then the wind just blows and hits me in the face, and it was just over from there. Then I muffed the punt. They got the ball back. And I was just like, man, that's that opportunity right there.
So it was that 10-yard line. That wind was like blocking it. And then right when you stepped back there, that wind got through.
I stepped back. The ball blew out, hit me right in the face. I'm like, man.
Man, I don't think anybody could blame you for trying to make a play, though. No. I mean, obviously your fucking coach did, but
I mean, that's what made him who he was this whole time coming up.
I'm like, man, this is my one opportunity in the game. I'm getting a punt return. I want to do something with it. So I was just trying to get that ball and go, but ended up messing it up. So at the end of the day, make the right play.
Listen to your coaches sometimes.
Right.
So the Canadian Football League. Canadian football is obviously different. Yardage, where the field goal post is. What did you have to change about your game, or what did you have to adjust specifically for the Canadian football game?
Yeah,
I didn't have to adjust anything for real. I just had to learn the rules that the game had. It had a couple different rules, so just getting used to those. That was the biggest transition. Other than that, I was just out there having fun. The field was bigger, so I just felt like that gave me more opportunity to break loose because now I got more space to run. More field to stretch. So I definitely like that part of the game.
Seems like they got you back in your home. You were returning a lot more there, and you felt more comfortable doing that.
Yeah, see, that was definitely a fun thing for me there too, because you really only have 2 downs, and then every third down you put in the ball. So it's like I didn't care if I was playing receiver or just returning, because at the end of the day, I'm on the field damn near every play or every other play. So I'm like, I'm just getting opportunities. And then there's like a 5-yard halo rule where they can't be within 5 yards once you catch the ball from a punt. So I was like, all right.
Give me a head start too?
Like, yeah, I can do this.
Imagine him having that at ASU. You'd have finished with over 3,000 yards. And that's just not even fair. I mean, you see DJ Foster, another Arizona State great, completely taking advantage of that now too. But what was Edmonton like and living up there? How long did you live up there?
For 2 years. It's 2 seasons, but living there, it was a fun experience. It definitely cold. Being from Arizona, I'm not a fan of the cold, so that was like the biggest
challenge
that I didn't like there. Yeah. But just like getting past that part, all that aside, like it was fun. The experience was fun. The people out there are nice. They show love. So I love it out there.
Did you? Go ahead, Jay, please.
I know you said about the rules. Which was the biggest rule it took you the longest to adapt to? Biggest rule change, I say.
None of the rules like take me along to adapt to, because at the end of the day, it's majority of it is just football. It's just little things that I need to know. Like for one was like if you fumble the ball and the last person who touched it before it goes out of bounds, it's their ball. Like you don't have to have possession of the ball. So it's like just things like that, little nuances of the game. It's like, okay, just like I just need to learn
knock that ball out.
Yeah, so once I start those little things, it's just football after that.
Yeah, definitely.
You leave Edmonton, and did you have any other offers, or was it just coming straight back home and playing for the hometown Rattlers?
No, I didn't have any other offers. I came back home. I talked to my agent probably like one time after that, and then he was like, I got an opportunity for you, but I never heard back from him. So, I just kind of went by, didn't hear from him. And then when I came back out here, actually, Taylor Kelly was getting ready for pro day, and I went out to go help him. So I went out to go catch balls for him while he was preparing and stuff. So while I was out there was a coach out there who used to coach for the Rattlers, and he was coaching for the Orlando team at the time. And he told me that he had a hookup with Coach Guy, and he would give me a personal workout. So he called Coach. Coach called me the next day, gave me that personal workout. Went out there, they tried to sign me to the team that day, but they had just started training camp. But I had just started back school, and I wanted to finish my degree, so I I pulled back and I told them that I would have to come back once I finished my degree. So I didn't play that 2015, and I set out that year. And 16, I set out, and then came back 17 and got the
So
opportunity.
what else happened in 2016 that made you want to come back, or was that your plan all along?
Well, I was just, working out, just being prepared for any opportunity that I got. And I was working out with this guy, Day Jones, whatever. He went to Mountain Point, and he was working out with me, and he had went to a Rattlers tryout, and he had got offered. So once he got offered, my trainer had got in contact with Coach Guy and let him know about me, and he was like, "Yeah, I remember him."
Yeah.
And then sent me a contract over. I signed the contract, and then it's history from there.
So in your first year, you go on and you win the United Bowl, 2017. What was that like winning your very first year there? Was that just like, oh, this is just what we do here, or was that group just a little bit more special?
I would say that group was special because they started off tough. It was a bunch of rookies. It was like I want to say like 22 rookies on the team, and we faced a lot of adversity coming out. We were probably like 4-4 or 5-5, and then the next like 5-10 games, whatever it was, like we just went undefeated, and just giving that chemistry and that like I said, the chemistry together, it definitely helped me just learn the game, because that was probably like the biggest transition for real with this indoor game is just getting used to how fast the ball come out, how fast you got to make moves, and the decision making. So I think once we got used to that, like we were just off and running.
Yeah, talk to me more about some of the adjustments. I mean, catching the ball off of the net, being able to run full speed before the snap, just things like that.
Yeah, well, in this league, we don't catch the ball off the net. It's more like the outdoor game,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's more open and stuff like that. But as far as the running start, I kind of was used to that coming from Canada because we also had the waggle there, so I was kind of used to that. But it's definitely a smaller space, so you got to be a little bit quicker and a little bit more,
shiftier
and decisive when doing things in that little bit of space. And you always have to set your routes up, so it's like it's a little bit different from the outdoor game. But like I said, once you get used to it and you learn the game, then it gets a little easier.
I feel like timing is maybe not more important, but timing and being very precise in your routes is definitely a little more on the elaborate side. Is that correct there?
Yeah, timing is definitely a big part because like I said, it's a small space, so you got to get the ball out quick, and you got to make decisions quick. Because if you don't, you don't got all day to sit back there and make a pass because you got these dudes running at you.
So you adjusted well though. And
definitely,
2018, you led the team in receptions. 2019, you lead the team in scoring. Last year, you were second on the team in receiving yards and touchdowns. Was it something that you were just able to adjust to it? It was just like you've been saying, it's just playing football, or is there something that you were doing specifically that made you pop out and get all these touches and touchdowns and everything?
like I said, it's just playing football at the end of the day and getting opportunities. And coaches messing with me. Coaches, putting me out there, finding ways to get me the ball in my hands and give me the opportunity to make plays. So once you give me the opportunity, like I said before, if I get that ball, I got to do something with it. So that's
trying to score every time.
You've had that mentality ever since your sophomore year in high school. It served you well. Unfortunately, the team lost their final game of the year. But what's next for Jamal Miles? Are you going to be returning again to the Rattlers? Are you still looking for a place in the NFL? What's next for you, man?
Right now, I've been like just sitting back, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do next. I haven't really decided if I'm done with football, if I'm gonna keep going. But I'm starting to lean back towards returning back with the Rattlers. For right now, if any other opportunities come across, I'm always open to it. But for now, right now I have the Rattlers opportunity up there, so I'm thinking about going back with them.
Great. And would love to see that for another season. I've got two more questions to kind of wrap it up here. But Jay, do you have any questions before I get to these last two?
I think one of our questions probably mutual, so I'll let you ask that.
That's the final one, yeah.
But one question, just for everyone out there, the young guys coming up and doing it. What's your biggest advice to them trying to get to where you're at in high school right now?
You said for the guys in high school?
Yeah, the young guys coming up.
First thing first. I know it's cliche and everybody said, but I mean, school is first. Take care of them grades, get them grades right. Because if you ain't got the grades, nothing else matters. So I say that's first thing, and then after that, playing ball. Man, everybody play ball. So at the end of the day, you got to be coachable and you got to have great work ethic. So I feel like that's the most important thing. And when you go out there to work, be ready to work every day. Don't come out there bullshit and do what you got to do.
What'd you get your degree in?
Sociology and education.
Is there something specific you would want to tailor your life around to that degree later on in life?
Not that I'm sure of right now. Right now I'm just on the go with it. It's just a degree at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Figure something out with it though.
So
Definitely.
My last two questions, and one of them here. Do you still keep in touch with ASU football? Are you around the team at all, or have they invited you back out? Anything like that? Are you around them?
I haven't been back since I left, because I was kind of bitter about, the whole situation with Ty Graham and all them. So I kind of haven't been back since then, but, I am looking forward to, trying to go back out there and, see the guys and, get comfortable with the staff and get to know them.
Oh, shit, we
Definitely.
might have a brand new staff next year, considering everything that's gone on. Have you heard
the
about
allegations.
the alleged allegations and everything like that? You heard about that?
Yeah, I've been hearing, but I haven't read too much into it. But just kind of let whatever happened happen over there. But
yeah, you got to at this point.
Yeah.
I feel you. Well, from a fan's standpoint, like I'd love to see former players and yourself be around more. I mean, you hold a lot of records for returning kicks, punts and kicks. So I would love for that to happen. I'd love for the Arizona State. This has been a beef with Arizona State that a lot of former players have had that I've heard of not having the open arms there. So I would love for that to happen. Maybe this new regime will let it open because you're one of the legends. Loved watching you grow up when I was growing up. And one of my final questions, and I don't know how you're going to answer this question because of your recruiting and whatnot and what you were saying about them, but how much do you hate Arizona, University of Arizona?
Oh, I hate them with a passion.
Hey,
okay, good.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I talk trash to them, especially my teammates. If I get a teammate from U of A, we're going at it all year.
Give me one of your teammates that you've done that with.
Steven Gorilla, he is our center for the Rattlers. He from U of A, so every day in the locker room, I'm just giving him hell.
Nothing good comes out of Tucson.
I don't think they win a game this year.
No, they haven't. I think they're like 0-7 right now.
I think they're gonna donut the rest of the year too. Hey man, but we really appreciate you, Jamal, coming on here. Chopping it up with us. I thank you, man.
And I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. Real quick. I always got to say this before I end the podcast. Jamal Miles, any words of wisdom you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I don't got no words. I don't.
Stay in school. Listen to your coaches.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. We're going to head out of here. He's on Fire podcast special edition with Jamal Miles. Thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, please like, subscribe, share this one out, share his story. We'll be in touch soon. Okay, bro?
Sure.
Thank you.